Tuesday, September the 2nd, 9 p.m. in the DMV. I'm Sam Giacomo,
And 6 p.m. here in Los Angeles. I'm Jack Armstrong.
and you're
Welcome to
listening
Tech.
to Tech Talk Live. Welcome to the show. Chat or call in with your tech news and never a dull week. Never. I think that's why
That's
we do
right.
tech podcasts.
That's
If,
right.
I guess with history, we'd have a lot more content to draw on, but tech's a never ending funnel um, of news.
Absolutely. With so much AI news these days, lots to talk about. We've got news from Apple, Google, Perplexity, and some Amazon Prime changes that you should know about today. Let's kick it off with Perplexity, another AI company, of course, known for their web search. They just released the Comet browser, which is super exciting. It's an agentic browser that promises to help you do more online. So, what does that mean? Let's dig in. So, Sam, have you heard about this, or what are your initial thoughts on kind of
So I
having AI browsing the web for you and doing tasks on your page?
So obviously from a functional standpoint, there's a lot of potential. To have an agent do things for you is, obviously pretty novel. Um, again, as we kind of talked about before the show, I know for me a big thing for me is going to be the data privacy, because essentially if you're hooking this up to your Reddit account or your Google or your Gmail services, this is something where Perplexity has sort of said, there's always going to be a free tier of Comet to use. So naturally, by extension, my next question is, okay, uh, how do we sustain this? And given that you're not just searching, so search already reveals a lot about you, right? But you're not only searching now, you're asking, you know, a technological component to plan a trip for you. So, it will know probably where you're going to be and at what time, versus like with Google, it's like, oh, I'm going to search for a restaurant. And, Google may know that you're hungry, but it doesn't quite know what you are going to be, eating or walking to, right? And I say that just because an example on their website is planning like a walking itinerary for downtown London, for example. So not only does it know where you may be going, it kind of knows the overall time frame of that occurring, right? So that's my main concern with it. I don't know, and Perplexity, like all the players in the space, is a relatively new uh, outfit. It's a relatively new endeavor. So how is this going to, I mean, it's the wild west out there, and it's very much buyer beware as far as AI tools. Um, but I like the concept, and perhaps it is the future. I'm just hesitant to personally adopt it because of the data
Yeah.
uh, implications. But I don't know. I mean, you found out about this today. I know. I mean, how'd you hear about it? I mean, are you excited about it? Are there any, I know you have the R1, and we did an
Yeah.
R1 episode a while back. Maybe we need to revisit. I don't know if they've been updating it, quite as much. Uh,
Yeah.
I know. I mean, we tested it live on the air. Um,
Yeah. This was over a year ago at this point. Yeah, the R1 from Rabbit. Well, I believe the R1 is using a lot of Perplexity, and ChatGPT, obviously in a little device. But Not to get sidetracked, I heard about Comet. That's a good question. Actually, from the Sidekick browser shutting down. A lot of their developers, I believe, went to work with Perplexity on the Comet browser. And it was initially, I don't know, I think just launched to the public, but it was originally only for Perplexity Pro subscribers. I believe that's $20 a month for that subscription tier. Uh, so yeah, that was how I found out about it. I've been using the browser for probably a month or two by now. I like Orion from Kagi. I still use Chrome for a lot of compatibility with websites. Safari is still great. I still use multiple browsers. Firefox for certain things. I mean, I think again, in the browser wars, I guess you see a lot of even the Arc browser we've talked about. I think they're all kind of fighting for a clean, minimalistic, high performance interface with AI features that can help you summarize kind of built in. I think my first impressions with Comet is really it coming down to kind of like you were talking about the multi-step tasks. Uh, for example, yes, plan a walking route, and you tell it what you want to eat, you tell it where you want to go, and it kind of does all the searching and compiling for you, saving you time. I think that's pretty cool, but I find it, would be more useful for longer requests. So maybe, for example, search for flights. Let's pretend you're planning a trip and you've got 3 cities in the running. It searches all 3 of them, books the lowest, navigates to the lowest or the whatever your parameters are for booking. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like, would you trust it that it did all the steps correctly? Like if it kind of comes down to comparing products or prices or flights or itineraries, like again, I think it really comes down to how detailed your prompt is and also how good the browser is at kind of executing the steps. So I think it's fascinating because we're not seeing this from, of course, Safari or Chrome or even Firefox. So it is neat to see a new browser kind of in the works. Also, it's worth noting they also have a $5 subscription that's aiming to save online journalism and helping low effort like AI summary slop, I guess you could call it. They want publishers to opt in first, though. And so this Comet Plus subscription is $5 a month, and it gives, I believe, 80% of its revenue from its members that are subscribed to this, that are browsing the news and browsing sites. I guess there's some sort of pay structure so that Perplexity can deliver high quality publishers content, but also in the AI answers. But then, of course, the publishers get the credit and get compensated. So I think it's kind of a neat way for members or subscribers of Comet Plus to say, hey, I want high quality access to journalism through AI that I know the publishers are going to be making a majority of this money. So kind of an interesting idea to get your news summarized or chattable, I guess, if you will. That might not be correct, but it seems like Comet Plus is just launched, I believe 2 days ago. End of last week, it looks like it launched on Friday. So yeah, they're really working to, I guess, save the publishing industry online because they're continuing to rely on advertising and affiliate revenue from genuine human traffic. However, AI summaries are not really helping them. So this has been the weak spot that Perplexity with the Comet browser and Comet Plus seems to be aiming to fix. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see as we watch this. And of course, ChatGPT as well. Like, will there be some sort of a protocol or some sort of a subscription or way to track AI summaries to compensate publishers? Because more people are not really visiting the websites anymore. And so, website owners that previously got a lot of traffic are really missing out on key advertising opportunities because AI has really come in. So could this be a solution? It'll be interesting to see. Also, how many people sign up for Comet Plus? I was kind of looking at it, and I never saw where to sign up for Comet Plus. I don't pay for it. I have access to the browser. So interesting. It'll be fascinating to see that too. I don't know where you do that. Maybe in your Perplexity settings, but yeah, it's a little confusing.
Yeah, no, and agree with all your points, right? The AI shakeup as far as having content creators compensated for what they create, and driving traffic away from websites and to the search itself, um, you know, is a problem where, um, you know, we don't really have a great solution, and this is at least something that's being put forward. So a lot of respect for that. I
Yeah.
hope it's successful. I hope, obviously a lot of questions. On the face of it, it sounds like a good idea, right? Paying per click. And I know we've talked about is it Mastodon or something, like a social network that kind of functions in the same way, engaging with post like your posts can essentially make I don't know if that was the platform. There was a social media platform where your posts and upvotes and likes would give you tokens essentially, which would have some sort of monetary value. Was the kind of the idea of it? And this sounds a little
Yeah.
similar, but with real money this time around. So
Yeah. Yeah, we've been following similar things in the past. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this is related. Absolutely. Well, let's talk. I think we should move on to some interesting news of Google's antitrust judgment about another browser. Here we go.
well, no, you
Chrome.
mentioned Chrome, and I was like, that is the perfect segue
Segue here. Yeah.
into a huge antitrust judgment today. Essentially, all but the most severe, all of the most severe penalties that Google was facing, including, splitting up Android and splitting up Chrome and kind of delving, they were, dividing, uh, you know, Google into separate entities. Um, they won't have to split up. Um, but I guess there's around sort of exclusivity deals, whereas Google will pay certain companies to um, you know have Google as their exclusive search provider, wouldn't be allowed. So a lot of the most severe penalties, including spinning off certain software um, products. But I honestly, I mean, I'm reading that I guess Google can keep some deals. So I'm not. To be honest, I may need to read the entire judgment. I don't really know. Um, I guess it's weird because the court said that they were a monopolist in search and advertising, yet today's ruling sort of doesn't really do anything about it. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's to kind of go from something that kind of raised eyebrows to sort of saying, you know, uh, it's it's basically not. It doesn't seem like they really um yeah.
Yeah, it's not the but I mean it's interesting, right? They're okay, you don't have to break it up, but hey, I mean, I don't know. Like Google already knows your data. I mean, I guess does it matter they have Chrome? I don't know. I don't really get it, but absolutely like this is an interesting point that again, it's a monopoly, but then they're not really doing anything about it. So
Well, and so yeah, I guess to clarify, it's the judgment will force Google to share information with quote qualified competitors. So, and that's kind of unclear whether this would benefit the consumer or just the competitors themselves. I don't know what sort of data is really required. Um, so it's kind of one of those things where, at least for Google, they don't really have to, I guess, really do too much. I mean, they basically have to share data with rivals to open up competition. Um, and so it's really, I don't know what this data sharing entails or really what data is to be shared. Um, but uh, it's I mean, it'll be interesting to sort of see um, and I don't know if Google will even really appeal this ruling. I guess previously it said it would. Honestly, I don't, if this is it, I don't really know. It kind of seems like a nothing burger, but
mhm.
I mean, to be honest, like I don't know if they're still going to appeal it higher, or if they're just going to kind of accept sharing data with competitors. But again, a lot of the stuff intact, Chrome intact, Android intact, and then even the pay for default, which I incorrectly mentioned was not allowed, is still allowed. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's really not a ton else to say. I mean, other than we'll just have to see how that data sharing kind of plays out, because who
Yeah.
knows? You know what that means? Like the text the user searches. I mean, it's just sort of like I don't know. I mean, no offense to the judiciary, but it's like a lot of the stuff is like, the people implementing it don't really have an idea of like what they're doing. I mean, this is all like at the bleeding edge, as our friend Zuck once said, move fast and break things. So they don't entirely know what they're doing either. Um, and so traditionally something that's been, at least from an institutional standpoint, very methodical and careful, um, probably isn't in the best position to understand, a technology um, like this. So
Yeah.
again, no offense to the judiciary. I don't think really anybody understands, but I think it's also extremely hard to be in the position to impact the change and also not have a clear picture of how it will impact things down the line.
That's yeah, true. Well, it's interesting. I think Perplexity, going back to them, and like OpenAI had also expressed interest in buying Chrome. So they're probably upset that they were not able to do so. So yeah, it's interesting, definitely. And generative AI is I think again, maybe this is influencing the case in the sense because yeah, there's a lot of information that Google has, and it's yeah, it'll be fascinating. Uh, yeah, to see how they continue to use the data to improve their products. So we shall see. Also, we have some news about Amazon Prime and some changes to sharing. You brought this up, Sam, which I didn't realize, but it was
Um,
pretty fascinating because they've allowed accounts in the past to have a Prime invitee account sharing, which they're ending this privilege, kind of pushing, every individual now to have their own account, seems. So a way to get more signups at this point.
So yeah, this kind of, echoes the Netflix password sharing crackdown, right? It's like you live in one house, you have one Netflix account. Amazon's kind of taking the same route. And to be honest, I don't entirely understand this either because I canceled Prime back in April. Um, and for some reason, it's not very clear in your account or your billing or your status as a Prime member. I was still receiving Prime benefits. So I'm like, okay, like whatever, like this is nice, I guess, for the two times I've gotten something on Amazon in the past 6 months. Um, but I'm also like, I don't have Prime, so why am I still getting these, why am I still getting next day shipping? Why? And I'm like, I'm checking my credit card statements. I'm not paying for this, right? Like, there's something going on here. And I guess, yeah, today I got an email, and I guess for some reason or another, I've been part of a shared Prime account with somebody. I don't really know who. Uh, Maybe a friend. I don't know. And October 1st, my benefit is going away, and I need to, basically switch to a new account, either a family account, so for the same household or the same address. Um, so, basically kind of cracking down on using one Prime account to ship things all over the place. Or you can, what else could, I guess you can just sign up for Prime itself for you. Um, but so again, a very obscure program, and I think it kind of shows, at least from a customer information standpoint, um, of the big tech companies, I would say, Amazon's just sort of documentation and user experience has been the most convoluted. I mean, Google gives them a run for their money with all the graveyard of products, but it's like this was one thing. It's like I didn't even know this existed until I got an email saying that it's going to be canceled. And I'm like, okay, this literally explains this phenomenon I've been trying to understand for like the past 3 months. So thank you for the email, I guess.
Yeah.
You could also display this in your account information area or billing or your Prime status or literally anything. Um, you receive Prime through blank. I mean, it's just sort of like, but again, I'm on a tech podcast and they're a $2 trillion company. So, maybe, but it just kind of blows my mind sometimes about how ridiculous the user experience can be. And I'm reading a news article that's like explaining like what's happening. And I guess, woe is me for not knowing what a quote prime invitee program is. So that's another like piece of knowledge that I wish I just did not have to have stored. But at
So the
least
pricing, yeah, it's disappointing because yeah, you're losing out on a lot of benefits, including free delivery, Prime Video, Amazon Music, Grubhub Plus now. They've partnered with Shutterfly Photos. Yeah, you're getting a lot of benefits. Fuel savings at BP, Amazon Family. Okay, free delivery. So anyway, the pricing is now. It looks like it's usually $139 a year. And the message to the Prime invitee members, you can now get a special offer, $15 for 1 year. So that's a pretty good deal. That's what you were saying before, right? You got a
well,
pretty good offer from them.
yeah, no, so what does this all mean for you, right? So, we had a convoluted 10-minute discussion about what this even is, right? But if you are somebody who's benefiting from the current program, there's an offer where if you choose to renew Prime on your own, it will be $15 for that first year. So we're talking a discount of like 90%. I mean, this is kind of what surprised me personally.
Mm.
Um, because admittedly, like the reason I like Amazon Prime is I used to sell a lot of stuff on eBay, and the amount of free packaging that you would get from Amazon. Most people, they open their Amazon box and they just throw it out. I'm like, perfect. This is a box I can use to reship something and I don't have to pay for it. I mean, it's basically so, for $14, it's pretty for a year's worth of boxes and all kinds of other stuff to like. I mean, think of Amazon Prime as a free shipping container delivery to your house that
It's yeah.
uh, you can use with third party services that is not the free packaging material that USPS delivers. And I mean, I guess it does cost the taxpayer something, but not directly, right?
Yeah. Well, but
Um,
it's also included in the postage. I feel like, yeah, that's another discussion, but you have a good point. I think a lot of people they're not viewing their Amazon Prime subscription in that way. They're saying, "Oh wow, it's like Netflix. I can watch video content. They've got movies, they've got stuff included," which they've been growing their library a lot for the past many years. So, yeah, but obviously, the 2-day shipping benefit has been, I think, probably their widest known. That's really like kind of the key benefit. Um, Unlimited free 2-day shipping with no minimum cart size. So that I think is kind of the why people sign up. But they've got a lot of other benefits. Also, they've been changing benefits kind of a little under the hood. They used to, for example, with Prime Video, have ad free, just kind of a standard. They have started charging $2.99 a month if you would like to continue that privilege of having ad free, like having, yeah, an ad free viewing experience. So they've been, yeah, making changes probably to keep numbers up because if they can make $3 a month per user, that's an extra, of ads, right? So I'm assuming that's probably like their average. Otherwise, it would be cheaper, maybe. So anyway, they're assuming if you pay them $2.99, that's the price of the ads. Um, so yeah, if it really bothers you to watch ads, then yeah, sign up for ad free now and pay extra. But so I mean, I guess, is it nice that they're doing this? They're giving you the option if it bothers you so much, but it used to be included. So they've kind of also devalued Prime in a way, because now you have to pay extra for something that was included before. So that's interesting to me.
well, and that kind of harkens back to, I guess, as Bezos famously said, he wanted to make Prime so compelling that people would feel irresponsible if they weren't Prime members. So I
Yeah.
don't know, who knows if tweaking the benefits for a Wall Street formula will achieve this metric. But Amazon's pretty, closely guards, these statistics. Other than kind of a line item for how much money it brought in. Um, they don't disclose numbers or really any, you know, anything like that. I don't, I don't really know why, but I guess it's just like why give free data out if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know, kind of an interesting tweak. So check your Amazon account or check for an email. Really, the account doesn't really tell me anything. Um, and yeah, see if you can snag that $15 a year Prime deal if you need it. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good deal, but also, you got it for free previously, so and then it'll be $140 a year after that, so,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
if anything, it's like I got it free for 1 more month, so maybe I should just, blow out while I still can, right?
do everything. Yeah, I mean, but how often are people is everybody using Amazon that frequently to value it? I mean, I do, but I don't
I mean,
know, like
I I would say yes, and I say that because the amount of sort of hype or just other, like the amount of like times I heard people just talking about like Prime Day,
yeah.
um, is like I really like it's insane. Like I didn't, I knew it was happening because of the marketing push, but it was also people talking about it in real life, which I think is like once you kind of penetrate the um kind of the lexicon, right? Like
Mhm,
that, it's something uh yeah, I mean it's something that is pretty, it's a pretty powerful thing, and they've certainly like wedged themselves into the psyche of at least the American consumer, which is by far the most, valued asset for these guys.
yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I think again, like Netflix, they really didn't like, password sharing. I think it's just kind of cracking down to give, everyone needs their own account. If they can double their accounts this way, theoretically, if they've got a million people sharing their account with another million people, right? That's a loss, right? They could be making 1,000, or excuse me, a million more. They could have a million more paying subscribers fundamentally. So, shall be interesting to see this as well. And will other companies do the same? I mean, I don't know. I know it sounds kind of bad to say that, but this is happening more and more these days with companies changing subscription, not only pricing, but yeah, just kind of they don't want you to share your benefits. I actually find it fascinating that the New York Times actually started doing a family sharing membership. So I got
Really?
like a message. Would you like to upgrade to the family plan where you can add 4 users with their own logins to your account? So basically, you pay for it, and then 4 extra people can have their own accounts, their own paid accounts. Uh, so yeah, I mean, every company does it differently, but you know, I also think it's worth noting too with Amazon. It's funny that they didn't allow people, the account holder. Why not just pay a surcharge like Netflix does, right? The additional member surcharge, because that's kind of like a discounted price, right?
Well, from what?
So for example, Amazon, or excuse me, Netflix has an add member, right, for like $8. So
Yeah, the 7.99, yeah, the basic paid plan, I guess, yeah.
but if they were to get their own account, it'd be more than that, right? So like if I have a premium account and I go to add another member, right? I would get I would have the ability to somebody else would get a premium account for only $8 more, right? So I'm surprised Amazon didn't do this when they changed the benefits. So hey, we're sorry that traditionally a Prime invitee was free, but now there's going to be an additional member surcharge fee. It's still going to be cheaper than if that member went out and got their own subscription.
I see. I see.
Do you see what I mean? But then you're kind of like giving them a deal, making them think, I mean, yes, they used to get it for free, but again, if this is going to be the new path forward, right? then that's gonna be how it is. I don't
Well,
know.
and I mean, yeah, you bring up a good point. I mean, that's essentially milking every last, because yeah, if you share an account and want to add a user and you make it $1 less than that user buying their own account, it's still incentive, you're still, making a large margin on that. Um, and in a way, you're also making that user more sticky. And what I mean
Yeah.
by that, like you're less likely to go through the logistics of contacting your friend as essentially a customer service agent. Okay, it's like, hey, I need to manage my account. Um, and I need to cancel my account. Um, you know,
Yeah.
but
Well,
so
yeah, I mean, these additional, because also, like, it's worth noting, like, the New York Times, right? They have a family, like, or a group subscription level. Even, like, Kagi, we talk about a lot, right? They have a family level that gives you a certain number of slots. So it's kind of like a discount for paying more. I mean, even phone plans do this. If you add 2 lines, it'll be this price per line, 3 lines, and it goes down the more you buy. So, I mean, I'm not saying you should have an Amazon Prime account with 20 people on it, but I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to.
well, you can only
So,
have one adult and four children.
yeah.
I don't know.
So,
So,
so also, the great exodus continues. More exits in the AI space. AI researchers from Apple. We've got more leaving and joining Meta. This is really a theme every month. We see more and more. Apple really can't get it together when it comes to AI. That's what we're. That's what we know.
well, and yeah, I read this article and it's interesting because given the space as such, AI is obviously such a new and trailblazing, it's an exciting sector, right? And you are either on the bleeding edge or you're not. And so if you're not proud of what is being created on your team and someone hands you a bag of money to build, something great with a group of people who you've probably worked with before in some capacity. I mean, these guys kind of travel in packs and groups. You have friends who you'd like to research with, and for Apple, it's a little like if you're in that sector, it's a little depressing. I mean, it's a little depressing throughout Apple, but especially so for the, if you're an AI researcher, you know, your entire company's on blast for essentially failing at the modern AI arms race.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, hey, I'm an AI researcher at Apple. I mean, those guys probably joke about it more than we do. It's like, oh yeah, when's Apple Intelligence gonna come out? Real good one with that. It's like, do you guys even have a model? I mean, it's just sort of like, you know,
It's
so
crazy.
they're probably tired of it. They want to use their talent to build something great. They've been given something great. So I can see them wanting to just make a change. I mean, it's not like they're hurting for money. I mean, it's just sort of it's very much kind of a vigilante market, um, as far as that's concerned. So I I can't blame them. Meta seems to be making some moves in the space. Um, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, there are a lot of big players. I think a big thing now is like, between like Google and Meta and OpenAI, it's just sort of like where or Anthropic, kind of what, they each have their own niche as far as like what, you know, sort of, what technology of theirs is kind of their niche. There's no one AI super company. So there's a lot of compelling options for being an AI researcher, being a part of them, and Apple's not necessarily one of them. Um, and we've talked about this before in terms of like, at what point in the future does the juice become too, like Apple's kind of ringing customers out? And at what point is it sort of like between the lack of features and the lack of innovation and the lack of, it's like, is it more than just a brand? Um, and in a lot of ways, like honestly, like if I didn't have iMessage, and there's people used a real messaging platform, there'd be no reason for this. It's just like there's no reason for any alternative technology, like functionally would be the same if there were at least a base level of cooperation between uh tech giants, but it's all, we have it all integrated and that's a feature, but we won't let anybody else integrate with it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at. But
Well, that's yeah, iMessage and the closed ecosystem. We also see it with AirPods. I mean, I think
mm,
even Meta, we've seen Zuckerberg before talking about the Ray-Bans when they were launching the smart glasses. The Meta wanted access to the Bluetooth protocol that allows a more seamless integration with the Bluetooth, you know, modules in the phone so that, the glasses can connect a little faster and have better performance and maybe a better battery life or whatever it is, right? And Apple did not want to give up the technology that makes, AirPods, so good at working with iPhones. They've developed that. They're keeping it to themselves. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of this more and more often, and I feel like they're gonna have to just think acquire a company at this point, for their AI usage. So who will they acquire potentially? Don't know, but I think it's the race is on, and if they don't do something soon, like phone sales, especially now with the Pixel 10 out, like they're
mm.
gonna get left behind. And I think consumers are going to start switching. They can only be behind for so long. And I think, yeah, we're starting to see more integration with other tools. And I think people are gonna just expect their phones to be good. So yeah, I mean, obviously we're waiting, for new iPhones coming soon, but we're not expecting much from Apple Intelligence. We've got a little bit longer, and we'll have new iPhones. But anyone who listens to the show probably knows we're not that excited about it. At least I'm not super excited. I feel like we've been more excited to talk about Pixel news recently than the new iPhone's coming too. Because yeah, Apple Intelligence has just been a letdown. We see, and now they're less capable now. It's worth noting, like every week there's more news of talent leaving Apple. I mean, they can't use their war chest of cash to come on, keep talent. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
But no, I mean, you bring up a good point, and honestly, I mean, I did seriously look at alternatives. One thing I will say, and potentially a benefit to the Apples of the world is for a thing like a phone, I honestly do enjoy not having to choose the hardware as far as, because it's like I'm like, okay, like an Android phone, right? Like, the Pixel 10, okay, that seems good, but then like, oh, well, how about the S25, the S25 Ultra, the Z Fold, and then, the Motorola Razr has, it's like there's it in a way it's just sort of like I guess at a certain point, having the decision made for you is a benefit of that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's more of a drawback than a benefit, but I think it is kind of a silver lining situation.
Yeah. I don't know. We're gonna see. Yeah, I mean, Apple just keeps going down. We'll see. I mean, the hardware has been good, and I mean, they make a good ecosystem, but I don't know. I think, yeah, it'll be fascinating. I don't have anything else to say about this other than it's just disappointing that such a large company with a lot of resources can't make AI and even like we've talked about all the smart home gadgets, they can't be better. So yeah, like with Matter support, like it just still is not to the level that it should be. We don't really see Siri improving. So
Well, um, yeah, I mean,
like
maybe
anyone that has
today,
home
right?
pods, I mean, anybody that has home pods probably knows you frequently have to ask Siri multiple times. And if you have another assistant, which I get it, most people don't, maybe have both, it's crazy because you can see that you never really have to repeat yourself with other assistants. It's only Siri and HomePod. It's like, why can't they get it together? So it blows me away. It really does. Do we have more news today? What else is happening this fine Tuesday, September? Gosh, this year's going quickly.
Well, I will say, we have the Apple event next next Tuesday, September 9th.
Yeah.
The Apple event next Tuesday. Obviously, a bunch of new iPhones coming, three new models: 17, 17 Pro, 17 Air. The AirPods 3 or Pro 3 or 3 Pro, the third generation of the wildly popular AirPods Pro have been getting some attention. So we'll have to see sort of what that entails. Obviously, a lot of upgrades, perhaps to the onboard noise canceling. Because the AirPods have kind of been leapfrogged. They're on a 2 to 3 year cycle. So toward the end of that, you do have a lot more compelling options available. Even Apple's own Power Beats have sort of stolen the show as far as having the latest and greatest from Apple. Um, which is funny because you don't really hear anything about Beats anymore.
Mhm.
I don't know why. It's funny because I think Tim Cook was in charge when they bought them. I don't really
Yeah.
know what. They just have the most random acquisitions. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, did they need to buy Beats? Absolutely not. But has it worked out for them? Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, probably. Um, but yeah,
There's
news.
in other news, there is one thing happened this week. ChatGPT will be soon releasing parental controls.
Uh-oh.
So, any parents out there, yeah, this is following the teen suicide lawsuit that also we could be talking about. But yeah, no, this is really crazy because, uh, by the way, OpenAI, they do share chats when they feel like threats are imminent. Obviously, they're changing their policies and their guidelines. Um, but I believe, yeah, if police need to be involved for something, they will be, reporting your account. But yeah, this was an extremely high profile case where their 16-year-old son committed suicide following extensive ChatGPT interactions. There were over 300, almost 400 messages, and ChatGPT is mentioning suicide 3 times that amount in every message and every response. So it's also kind of sad how more and more people seem to be using AI as a replacement for therapy and a replacement for medical professional medical attention. But again, the timing of these measures, OpenAI does not want. They don't want more cases like this. They don't want more lawsuits, and they don't want more misinformation So it's very sensitive how they proceed. But yeah, there's not much about the parental controls other than within the next month. So maybe by the end of September, we're going to see parental controls for teen users who so parents can set age appropriate rules, and they can get alerted apparently when ChatGPT detects acute distress. So it's unclear if parents, I don't know, it might be kind of creepy. I don't know where people stand on this. If you're a parent, I guess, do you want to be reading your kids' AI messages? I don't know. But um, again, will the parents have the ability to read every message their kid is asking AI? I don't know. Or they'll just get summaries of you know notable conversations if there's distress, or if a parent needs to be involved, or if something's going on. I don't know. It's fascinating. Maybe they'll get like sediment reports. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know where parents would stand on that. Do they want to be reading what their kids are asking ChatGPT? Do parents even have the time for this? But yeah, what red flags can people look at? And if their kid is asking AI about sensitive topics, can parents limit those conversations? So hopefully parental controls in a few weeks. And we expect, I would imagine, Gemini to come out with similar controls. And
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
Anthropic Claude is not really getting much attention at the moment, but we expect all AI companies will probably have some version of this, especially after this lawsuit. So kind of sad to, yeah,
Well, and it's sort of, you know, this is the dark side of move fast and break things.
yeah,
And again, something we'll be watching closely as time kind of rolls on. Um, like great parental control. Yeah, it's an opt-in solution for, and like who, like what parents are informed about the risks of AI. I mean, it's just sort of like, I feel like if it just, it's not like it's something that's brand new, and now it's like, oh well, there's, and thankfully it's getting out in the media as something that needs to be informed upon. But all of these are new concepts. I mean, this isn't something that, it's like, as a as a child, you need to make sure your children are not, it's like looking up the stuff with AI, and it's like, what the hell is AI? I mean, it's very much like, it's not very parent. I mean, it's just, and it's hard to keep track of all this stuff. I mean, this literally didn't exist 3 years ago.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah, now again, I feel like if parents don't know enough about AI, they probably, sad to say it, they probably shouldn't allow their kids to use AI if they don't really understand AI themselves, because then you might run into a situation where the kid, I mean, I do think it's important for kids to be exposed to AI. However, you can't rely on it for advice, for medical advice, to be a therapist. And then also people, I thought this was interesting, but more and more people, CNN had a researcher on lately, uh, just to talk about, kids and young adults, and even adults that don't have many in real life friends, that rely on AI as a friend. It's kind of crazy. There's, I guess, like AI psychosis, induced psychosis or something, where basically become reliant on it, or you have the potential. And again, we're talking about kids, maybe that are growing up with this. So yeah, it's a sensitive technology, and yeah, don't use probably best to not allow your kids to use it if you don't even understand it. So, you know,
Well, another buyer beware situation created by the modern condition, I guess. So
it's not a chatbot. I mean, it is a chatbot, but it's so much more than that. And it has the potential for serious damage and, original thought creation. And it's kind of scary. So anyway, well, we're here every Tuesday. Tech Talk Live airs 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget, visit us on the web, our website, techtalklive.xyz. We're here. Join the conversation on X at tech_talk_live. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, we'll follow up with Apple news and more AI stuff to come soon.
it's going to be a big Apple week next week. So
Let's see. New phones coming up from Apple. Got Google's. Let's see. New phones to come. We'll talk about it. Hear it here. Until then.